How will your culture strategy reinforce and support the draft London plan in protecting London's at-risk heritage, especially when a new development is proposed, bearing in mind the number of specialist heritage officer posts lost or merged in London Borough's planning departments due to Conservative government cuts?
Yeah, so for the schemes that we see, we've made sure the Culture at Risk Office sees every scheme that goes to the planning team that has a cultural angle to it. And that's already led to, I gave one example in Westminster Council, where a nightclub was going to be lost, is now going to be kept because of the work taking place between the Culture at Risk Office and the planning department. I think there have been 300 schemes that have come to them. But it's really important that we protect the assets that we have. So the draft London plan is quite clear. We're also working with councils to make sure their local plans are quite clear in relation to this. And the cultural infrastructure plan will provide the evidence that councils need going forward in relation to protecting the cultural assets that currently exist. You're right. In addition to talking about new assets, we're going to protect what we have. And that's where the planning ambit of the GLA is so important. But that only applies to schemes that come to us. And that's why the cultural infrastructure plan gives the tools to councils to have the evidence they need to protect cultural assets that wouldn't come to us.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, London's got over 18,000 heritage buildings, and the capital's history goes back, well, before the Romans, over 2,000 years. So that's one of the key attractions to visitors, as we've spoken about already. With local authorities under increasing financial pressure, what help can you give to ensure they maintain their heritage assets, like local museums? What can you do to publicise the smaller or more specialised museums and galleries, for example, borough museums and those attached to universities?
Yeah, before I ask Justin to come in on that, it's just worth reminding ourselves that the biggest funder of culture in the country are councils. And they've lost more than half their money over the last 7-8 years. So you can understand why, our cultural spaces are feeling, really struggling with the financial cuts they're being faced with. But I'll let Justin give you some examples of the work we're doing.
Yes, thank you. I know one of the questions was, why don't we have a separate heritage strategy? And that's because heritage is absolutely in the heart of the culture strategy as a statutory document. And Heritage, Historic England are actually a formal consultee on the document. We work very closely with them. As Sadiq has said, the London Plan is a very pro-heritage strategy. The new cultural infrastructure plan now includes lots of heritage assets, so we will be kind of mapping heritage, statues and all the major landmarks, so we'll keep a kind of watch and brief on the status of the heritage in our city. The Museum of London plays an important role too. They have a kind of leadership role across smaller museums, so they give out and administer small grants for the smaller museums and heritage institutions to support their work. We work very closely with the Heritage Lottery Fund. We co-fund a lot of work together. We work collaboratively. And of course, the annual audits that we do, they also give us a kind of really clear idea of what's happening so that we can spot any particular issues. And as Sadiq has said, the Culture at Risk Office deals with a lot of heritage-related cases.
Thank you.